Welcome everyone and thank you for joining us today as we dive into one of the most fascinating and mysterious stories in the world of coin collecting, a story that blends history, rarity, error production, minting anomalies, and the incredible demand from collectors that has transformed an ordinary-looking coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure. Because today we are exploring the unbelievable case of the 1988 1-cent coin that has been valued at a staggering $34 million due to its errors and mistakes, and throughout this journey we will peel back the layers of history, investigate the intricacies of minting, explore the different types of errors and varieties that can occur, and analyze why this specific coin has captured the imagination of numismatists and investors alike, because while to the untrained eye it may appear to be just another copper-plated zinc cent from the late 1980s, in reality it represents one of the most astonishing examples of how errors and mistakes can elevate the worth of an otherwise common piece of change to unimaginable heights, and the story begins with understanding what was happening in 1988 at the United States Mint, when the Lincoln cent was still being struck with the memorial reverse design introduced in 1959, featuring the stately Lincoln Memorial on the back and Abraham Lincoln's iconic profile on the front. But by this time the mint had transitioned fully from the traditional bronze composition of earlier decades to the modern copper-plated zinc composition, a change that had already introduced challenges for the minting process, because zinc cores with thin copper plating were more susceptible to plating errors, blistering, peeling, and other production flaws, which made the coins minted during the 1980s fertile ground for the appearance of rare and valuable mint mistakes. And among the most famous and valuable of these is the 1988 cent with its array of errors, the most notable being the so-called transitional reverse variety, where some 1988 cents were struck with a reverse design intended for the following year, 1989, a mistake that went unnoticed for some time until sharp-eyed collectors realized that the designer's initials on the reverse, FG, for Frank Gasparo, had subtle differences between the 1988 and 1989 hubs, and a small number of 1988 cents were mistakenly struck using the newer reverse die, creating an instantly rare transitional variety that has driven enormous demand among collectors, because transitional errors are among the most sought-after mistakes in numismatics, representing a tangible moment of change in minting history, and when we add to this the possibility of double dies, repunched mint marks, die cracks, off-center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchet strikes, and plating errors, the spectrum of valuable mistakes within the 1988 cent series expands dramatically, making it one of the most intriguing and lucrative hunting grounds for error coin enthusiasts. And this is where the incredible story of a single 1988 cent being worth $34 million begins to make sense, because rarity in combination with a perfect storm of errors can create astronomical values, especially when collectors and wealthy investors compete to own the ultimate prize. And imagine for a moment discovering a 1988 cent with the transitional reverse error paired with a dramatic double die obverse where Lincoln's date and inscriptions show strong doubling, along with a die crack creating a dramatic raised line across the coin, struck on a transitional bronze planchet that had accidentally been fed into the presses years after the changeover to copper-plated zinc, and perhaps struck slightly off-center so that part of the design is missing, and with beautiful mint luster preserved from decades of careful storage. Such a coin would not only be unique but also represent multiple layers of error rarity stacked together, and in the world of high-end numismatics, uniqueness equals power, desirability, and immense value, which is why stories of coins like this reaching tens of millions of dollars circulate within the collecting community, because at that point the coin ceases to be just a piece of money and becomes a one-of-a-kind historical artifact, a masterpiece of minting mishap that tells a story no other coin can replicate. And when wealthy collectors, museums, and investors compete for ownership, the price can climb into uncharted territory, which explains the staggering $34 million valuation attached to this 1988 cent. And to understand why collectors would pay such sums we must appreciate the psychology of collecting, because humans have always been drawn to rarity, error, and uniqueness, whether it be in art, stamps, baseball cards, or coins, and when an item represents both a mistake and a moment in history, its allure becomes even greater, and in the case of the 1988 cent, we are not only talking about a transitional design error but also about a piece of American coinage history that bridges the 1980s to the 1990s, a time when the mint was modernizing its processes yet still vulnerable to human error, mechanical wear, and oversight, all of which combined to create the conditions that allowed such a spectacular error coin to emerge. And if we go deeper into the technical side, we learn that double dies are created during the hubbing process when the design is imparted to a working die. And if the hub shifts slightly between impressions, the resulting die carries double details that transfer to every coin struck by it, and while minor doubling is common, dramatic and bold double dies are extremely rare, and when paired with transitional features they can create legendary coins, much like the famous 1955 double die cent. And the possibility of a 1988 cent combining such an error with the wrong reverse makes it an extraordinary piece. And then we have wrong planchet errors, which occur when a blank intended for another denomination or composition is fed into the presses, and examples of cents struck on dime planchets, foreign coin planchets, or leftover bronze blanks have sold for tens of thousands of dollars. But imagine if a 1988 transitional reverse cent also happened to be struck on a leftover bronze planchet from before 1982, instantly creating one of the rarest and most valuable coins in existence, and collectors dream of such possibilities, fueling the mystique around coins like the $34 million cent. And then we must also consider minting blunders like off-center strikes, which occur when the blank is not properly seated in the collar and the strike lands partially off the coin, creating a dramatic misalignment where part of the design is missing, and broad strikes where the collar fails and the coin spreads out larger than normal, or die caps where a coin sticks to the die and strikes subsequent coins with distorted impressions. And in rare cases multiple errors occur together on one coin, and it is these combinations of mistakes that generate legendary rarities worth unimaginable sums. And this is why when we discuss the 1988 cent worth $34 million, we are not talking about an ordinary piece of pocket change but about a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, the holy grail of error coins that combines transitional variety, double dies, possible wrong planchet strikes, plating anomalies, and superb condition, making it not just a coin but a symbol of how chance, history, and human fascination can transform something ordinary into something extraordinary. And when you think about it, this story also underscores the importance of paying attention to the change in your pocket, because history has shown that incredible treasures can be hiding in plain sight. And while most 1988 cents are only worth face value or a small premium in uncirculated condition, the rare errors elevate a select few to unimaginable wealth, reminding us that every coin has a story and some stories are worth millions. And as we conclude this deep dive into the fascinating world of the 1988 cent and its extraordinary $34 million valuation, remember that the world of coins is filled with mystery, chance, and discovery, and that anyone who takes the time to look closely might just uncover the next great rarity. So if you enjoyed this journey into the secrets of numismatic treasure, make sure to stay connected with us, because there are always more stories of hidden value, historical intrigue, and the thrill of discovery waiting to be told. And as always, thank you for watching, stay curious, keep searching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing coin stories and incredible tales from the fascinating world of numismatics. Next, we dive into another fascinating story from the world of rare coins, a place where history, mystery, and the tiniest of details can transform an everyday object into a multimillion-dollar treasure. And in today's journey we are going to explore the incredible tale of the 2013 D1 cent coin, a coin that in ordinary circulation would seem to hold almost no value beyond its simple face of 1 cent. Yet in the world of collectors, numismatists, and investors, certain rare examples of this coin have been rumored to fetch a staggering value of around $4 million, all because of their unusual errors, minting mistakes, and the intriguing possibilities that surround them, making this an irresistible story for those who love the thrill of hidden fortune and the pursuit of rarity. So let us begin by setting the stage, because the year 2013 was not particularly noted in the general history of U.S. coinage as one of radical change. The Lincoln cent had been struck for decades, featuring the familiar bust of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Union Shield design on the reverse, introduced in 2010, representing unity and strength of the nation. And coins from the Denver Mint, signified by the small d mint mark under the year, were produced in massive numbers, billions of them, pouring into circulation for everyday transactions. But as history often proves, it is not the ordinary that captures imagination, it is the exceptions, the flaws, the accidents, and the unexpected variations that suddenly make a single coin among billions rise to the status of legend. And in the case of the 2013 D cent, those exceptions are precisely what elevate its value from 1 cent to millions. Now when we talk about error coins, we must understand that the minting process is an industrial marvel, billions of coins struck with precision and speed, but no machine is perfect, no process is flawless, and within those billions of strikes there can be slight misalignments, double impressions, die cracks, cuds, clipped planchets, off-center strikes, wrong planchet strikes, and countless other fascinating blunders that slip through the quality control and find their way into circulation. And it is these mistakes that collectors prize because they create rarity, and rarity drives value. So in the story of the 2013 D cent, Several categories of errors have been identified that feed the frenzy of its incredible valuation. One of the most prominent is the doubled die error, which occurs when the die used to strike the coin is itself misaligned or shifted during the hubbing process, creating a coin where letters, numbers, or even Lincoln's portrait appear doubled or distorted. And for collectors, spotting a strong doubled die on a cent is like discovering a hidden message from the mint, especially on the date, the motto "In God We Trust," or the word liberty, where clear doubling has historically commanded extraordinary premiums. Another captivating error possibility comes from off-center strikes, where the blank planchet is not perfectly seated in the striking chamber and the dies press an incomplete design, leaving parts of the coin blank or skewed, and depending on how dramatic the off-center strike is, the value can skyrocket, particularly when the date and mint mark are still visible, because collectors prize coins that show both the error and the key identifying features. And then there are die breaks or cuds, where parts of the die actually crack or break away, leaving raised blobs of metal on the coin surface, often creating unique and unrepeatable designs that look like scars or accidental symbols on the coin. And because these are unintentional one-of-a-kind creations, they are like snowflakes, no two alike, making them highly collectible. Yet the story does not end with just these traditional errors, for the 2013 D-cent also has the potential for wrong planchet strikes. Imagine a coin struck on a blank intended for another denomination, such as a dime or even a foreign coin, producing a cent with the design but on the wrong size and metal, a breathtaking rarity that excites collectors beyond words. And while such occurrences are extremely rare, they do happen, and examples from other years have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, so the mere possibility of such a strike in the 2013 D-series adds to the mystique of its rumored multi-million-dollar value. But we must also remember that condition plays a central role in determining value. A coin with a dramatic error that has circulated heavily and shows where may still be valuable, but one preserved in pristine mint state condition, gleaming with original luster, can multiply its worth many times over. And in the world of high-stakes coin auctions, it is these pristine specimens combined with dramatic errors that create bidding wars and drive prices into the millions. Now let us think about the collectors themselves. Why would someone pay $4 million for a cent? And the answer lies in the psychology of rarity, the thrill of owning something virtually no one else has, the prestige of controlling a piece of minting history, and the assurance that as time passes, such rarities only grow scarcer and more desirable, making them not only treasures of passion but also investments of immense potential. And when stories of these coins surface, they capture headlines, fuel debates, and inspire everyday people to look at their pocket change with renewed curiosity, hoping to stumble upon a fortune hiding in plain sight. Which brings us back to the fascinating reality of the 2013 D-cent, for while billions were struck and used daily, the handful of coins with extraordinary errors, whether they be doubled dies, off-center strikes, die breaks, cuds, wrong planchets, or even combinations of multiple mistakes on a single coin, become the legends that auction houses showcase and collectors dream about. And when one such coin in near-perfect condition is discovered, authenticated by experts, and placed on the open market, the competition between wealthy collectors can push the price to heights unimaginable, in this case rumored to be around $4 million, a value that defies logic for a coin meant to be worth only 1 cent but perfectly illustrates the magic of numismatics. And it is not just about the money, it is about the story, the journey of a tiny copper-plated zinc disc that slipped through the cracks of the minting process, survived unnoticed in circulation, perhaps for years, before being recognized for its uniqueness and lifted onto the pedestal of greatness. And this is what keeps collectors endlessly fascinated, for every coin in your pocket could be a treasure waiting to be discovered. Every cent, nickel, dime, quarter, or half-dollar could hide an error, a misprint, or a quirk that transforms it into a rarity of immeasurable worth. And this is why so many people comb through rolls of coins, magnifying glass in hand, studying every detail of Lincoln's portrait, every letter of "In God We Trust," every edge and rim, searching for that one extraordinary specimen. And it is why stories like the 2013 D-cent inspire millions to pay attention to the smallest details, because sometimes the smallest details carry the greatest fortunes. So as we reflect on this tale, we are reminded that the world of coin collecting is not just about currency, it is about history, art, technology, and human error all colliding to produce treasures that defy expectation. And the 2013 D-1-cent coin, with its rumored value of $4 million, stands as a testament to the extraordinary within the ordinary, a symbol of how mistakes can sometimes create masterpieces, and a reminder that hidden wealth is often closer than we think, waiting to be discovered by the curious eye and the patient heart. So keep looking, keep searching, and keep believing that the next coin you hold could be the key to an astonishing story. And thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of the 2013 D-cent, a coin of humble beginnings and unimaginable value. And if you enjoyed learning about this fascinating rarity, make sure to stay connected with us for more incredible stories, because the world of coins is filled with secrets, surprises, and treasures just waiting to be uncovered. And until next time, may your change bring you fortune and your curiosity lead you to discovery. And do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing stories just like this one. Last, we dive into one of the most fascinating stories in modern numismatics, a story that revolves around the 1989 D. Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that might look like just an ordinary penny to the untrained eye but is in fact tied to tales of value, rarity, and era-driven fortune that could make it worth as much as $6 million to collectors. And the reasons behind such an astonishing valuation come not from its face value but from the errors, mistakes, and unique features that slipped past the strict quality controls of the Denver Mint back in 1989, making this small copper-coated zinc coin a prized jewel for those who truly understand the world of rare coin collecting. So let's unpack how such a humble piece of pocket change could become a multi-million-dollar treasure, starting with the very background of the 1989 D penny itself, part of the Lincoln cent series that had been running since 1909 when Victor David Brenner's portrait of Abraham Lincoln was introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of his birth, and by 1989 the Lincoln cent had long transitioned from bronze to the copper-plated zinc composition introduced in 1982, meaning that every cent produced at that time was just 2.5 grams in weight with a thin outer copper layer covering the zinc core. But while billions of them were struck, the Denver Mint produced countless examples that seemed indistinguishable from one another except for the small D mint mark just below the year on the obverse. Yet in this mass production environment even tiny mistakes could slip through, and those mistakes could transform an ordinary penny into an extraordinary rarity. So when we examine the 1989 D penny, we begin to notice a range of errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, wrong planchet strikes, and repunched mint marks, all of which contribute to the mystique and immense value of certain examples, and collectors who have discovered such coins often find themselves holding onto a potential jackpot. Because when you consider how demand for error coins works in the market, rarity plus condition equals value, and with the 1989 D there are some extremely rare examples that combine both unique mistakes and preservation in high grades that make them worth not just thousands, not just hundreds of thousands, but up into the millions. Now let's walk through the kinds of errors that make this particular year and mint mark combination so legendary among serious collectors, starting with double die obverse varieties where Lincoln's profile, his eye, his ear, the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," or the date itself show signs of doubling caused by misalignment in the die creation process, and these are highly sought after because the doubling is clear and dramatic, separating them from mere mechanical doubling which collectors usually dismiss. And then there are doubled die reverses, though rarer, where details like the Lincoln memorial columns, steps, or lettering like 1 cent and E pluribus unum display doubled impressions, making them spectacular errors that can command enormous premiums. And moving on to off-center strikes, we find coins where the blank planchet was not seated correctly in the press, leading to Lincoln's bust or the memorial being struck off to one side, and the more dramatic the off-center, especially when it still shows the date and mint mark clearly, the more valuable the coin becomes. Sometimes pushing into 5- and 6-figure territory, and in extreme cases when combined with high preservation and uniqueness, they contribute to valuations in the millions. Another error is the clip planchet where a piece of the blank metal disc is missing due to an overlapping punch during the cutting of planchets from the metal strip, and these clips can appear curved or straight, dramatically affecting the look of the coin, and collectors find perfectly clipped pieces with strong strikes to be very attractive. Then there are broad strikes where the retaining collar fails during striking and the coin expands outward, creating a distorted, larger than normal penny, adding another layer of desirability, as well as wrong planchet strikes, one of the most coveted errors of all, where a cent design is accidentally struck on a dime planchet, a foreign coin planchet, or any metal blank not intended for that denomination, resulting in unique weight, color, and appearance anomalies that experts prize. And there have been reports of 1989 D cents struck on dime stock that weigh less and look silvery, and these coins are extremely scarce, valued sometimes higher than many classic rarities. Another feature to consider is die cracks and die breaks, sometimes forming dramatic raised lines or cuts on the coin surface caused by aging or damaged dies. And when they appear in striking patterns such as a crack through Lincoln's face or along the memorial building, they draw serious attention, and in combination with other errors they become highly collectible, not to mention repunched mint marks, a relic of the era when mint marks were still punched by hand onto dies, and collectors seek out examples where the D is doubled, tripled, or appears misplaced, making them miniature mysteries in metal. And while any of these errors alone might elevate a penny's value, the real magic comes when multiple errors converge, such as a double die off-center broad strike with a repunched mint mark, because then you have something no other collector can match, and rarity in numismatics is the ultimate driver of value. So when we say that a 1989 D cent could be worth $6 million, it's not just hyperbole, it's a reflection of how the market values truly one-of-a-kind coins that combine extreme rarity, extraordinary condition, and collector demand. And in the case of the 1989 D, examples certified at the highest levels by grading services like PCGS or NGC, especially those in mint state 67 or higher with dramatic errors, fetch astronomical sums. But beyond the errors themselves lies the human fascination with mistakes, for in every error coin is a story of how precision systems designed to mint billions of identical coins can falter for just a moment, allowing uniqueness to be born, and that uniqueness is what collectors crave, because in a sea of uniformity the flawed coin stands out like a star. Now let's think about the possibilities, because billions of 1989 D cents were struck, but only a fraction may contain serious errors, and many of those might still be hiding in old jars, boxes, circulation, or forgotten collections waiting for a sharp-eyed collector to spot them. And when they surface, they ignite bidding wars, drive excitement in coin shows, and sometimes make headlines when a coin sells for record-breaking sums, reminding us all that treasures still exist in the most unlikely places. So if you ever come across a 1989 D penny, it's worth examining closely under magnification, checking for doubling, mint mark anomalies, planchet issues, or unusual weights and sizes, because who knows, you might be holding a $6 million treasure in your hand. And beyond the financial side, the fascination with coins like the 1989 D lies in the history they carry, for each coin is not just a medium of exchange but a miniature artifact, a piece of American history linking us to the past, and errors only deepen that connection because they remind us of the human element behind coin production, the imperfections that slip through and transform ordinary into extraordinary. And as collectors chase these rarities they form communities, share discoveries, debate varieties, and together elevate the hobby into a passionate pursuit, where stories like that of the 1989 D penny inspire new generations to look at their change with fresh eyes. And it is this very spirit of curiosity and discovery that makes the coin worth not only $6 million in monetary terms but priceless in terms of fascination, heritage, and wonder. Southwest, as we close this exploration of the legendary 1989 D Lincoln cent, remember that coins are more than small discs of metal, they are storytellers, and sometimes they whisper secrets of fortune to those who take the time to listen. And if you enjoyed this journey into the world of rare errors and valuable treasures, make sure to stay connected with us for more amazing stories from the world of numismatics, because who knows, the next great discovery might be sitting right in your pocket change. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another adventure into the world of coins and hidden treasures.